and welcome to episode 24 of the Dittmer Knittery podcast. My name is Bev, and you can find information about me and Dittmer Knittery in the description box below, where you will also find a lot of information. On this particular video, I have quite a lot to share, and you will find information in the description box below. If you don't find what you need, of course, comment or email me, and I will get back with you and try to get you the information that you're seeking. This is a pretty exciting video for me to make because I've been working on tutorials, and I've decided to go ahead and publish them next month because of your response. Thank you to everyone who watched last week's video, both viewers and content creators. I'm so grateful for your response to the idea. I asked you to let me know if you were interested, and you replied with, "When do we start? What do we need?" Wow. I appreciate your response so much. There were days where I thought this idea wasn't going anywhere. After I spent 8 days in 1 week making notes and plans, I came to realize that it could be possible that people were just too busy and that I wouldn't have enough interest to move forward. You are so encouraging. Your response was way beyond my expectations, and I hope what I have in store for you is unexpected, fun, and exciting. I also owe special thanks to Priscilla at Distinctive Crochet for giving me this idea. If you're not already subscribed to her channel, please go over to Distinctive Crochet and subscribe. Of course, there's a link in the description box below. If you didn't see my last week's video, I hope today's video gets you interested and you watch episode 23 and the special right after it, and maybe even some more of my videos, please. First, today's video, and be sure to watch to the end. It might be a long one. It might even be a two-parter. So please watch to the end. If I make it 2 parts, please make sure to watch the second part. Get your project, get your beverage, get relaxed. I have notes. I'm offering an opportunity for you to make a knitted or crocheted bag and felt it. This is a beginning felting project, a small basic bag. If you are interested in more advanced knit, crochet, felting projects, please be patient with me. I am very flattered by your interest, and I'm willing to continue tutorials into more advanced projects if that's what you want. Please contact me and let's start a conversation about what we want to do. If you make a bag with me and felt it, following my Make the Bag 2021 patterns and tutorials, your bag will look something like this. This green one is the knitted one. It has a long crossbody strap. It has some beautiful texture. It's a grassy green color showing pretty well right there. Of course, when I say that, then the color changes. It's a pretty grass green color showing pretty well right there. It has some texture, but no stitch definition that you can see here after the felting. No You can't see the stitches and tell that it was knitted. It has a little flap. And like I said, this is a knitted, felted bag. If you follow my hashtag #MakeTheBag2021 patterns and tutorials, your knitted felted bag would turn out looking something like this. And here's the crochet one. Also very nice, turned out quite well. Pink. Has some texture and also some stitch definition. Beautiful, and that's what I'm learning as I felt more crochet, is it's likely to show some stitch definition. In addition, the crochet is likely to show some stitch definition plus the beautiful texture of felted fabric. And the stitch definition is also there in the strap of the crochet bag. So this is a crocheted felted bag. If you crochet and felt a bag according to my hashtag #MakeTheBag2021 patterns and tutorials, your bag could look something like this. I plan to embellish both of these bags with needle felting. And that's another subject that I'd be glad to cover at another time. Here are some examples of my needle felting, in case you're not familiar with what I do. A small, simple pouch, a red pouch with a green crossbody strap and a little green detail around the top, and this tree is applied with needle felting. So very simple, doesn't take much yarn, and it looks really nice for such an easy, simple project. And if you have the supplies, the tools, and would choose to needle felt, this is something very doable for a beginning project. Has a little flap and a tassel on the other side. And I have another example here of some very simple needle felting with some nice colors working together. Striped the bag, and that's something I'll talk about in just a minute. Is you could choose to make your bag striped instead of solid colors. That's very easy to do. And here's this really simple needle felting. This is a bag that is just 2 colors. Again, very easy to do. And on the other side, I've done some needle felting with the same gold yarn. And there's a little owl in the tree. I name my bags. And this bag is named Hoot. Hoot. Another possibility of striping, a large stripe in the center and some other stripes at the top and bottom, or that would be your choice if you decided to stripe it. Make it look how you want it to look. That's a way to personalize it. And here's some needle felting on the other side of this striped bag. A little cafe scene applied with needle felting. embellishment isn't necessary or always desired. This one I showed you just a moment ago. Add a button. It's finished. A couple of nice colors, a beautiful button. You've created the bag, you've knitted or crocheted the bag and felted it, and you can add a button and be finished. Embellishment is not necessary. I just want to make sure you know that this is a beginner project, and mostly what you need is yarn and the willingness to do it. Another example of a striped bag with just a tassel applied. Doesn't need anything else. Some nice stripes. This is a great project to use some scrap yarn if you have wool scrap yarn, or if you can't find what you want in one color, get two colors, get several colors. I very seldom find an affordable variegated, sometimes a tweed for wool. Does have to be wool. But here's a very simple technique of just using more than one yarn to give your bag a little character, a little personalization. Another example of a bag that was created simply by using 3 different yarns. 1, 2, 3. 3 different yarns and a button. And it does not need embellishment. It's beautiful the way it is. Yarn's doing a lot of the work here. Another technique is to use a lighter weight yarn, say a fingering weight wool yarn. For example, I use Knit Picks palette yarn, which is 100% wool. And you can hold 2 strands of the fingering yarn together, the fingering weight yarn together, of 2 different colors. So if you use this lighter weight yarn and hold 2 strands together, you can use 2 colors at the same time and create a color blend. And this was created with Knit Picks palette yarns. And you can see that it has a yellow and green yarn. And then the yellow continues and it has a off-white. And then the white continues, and there's a brown, and the brown continues, and there's a blue. So this color blending technique is pretty simple. And like I said, just what you need is 2 different colors of yarn. And if you have 2 different colors of worsted weight yarn, you can do the same technique, but your bag is going to be quite a bit larger and heavier. The fabric will be thicker, but of course that's a possibility. And again, this needs no embellishment. It has a button and it's a beautiful bag as is. Another example of color blending. And a button. So back to these 2 bags I showed you a few minutes ago. This is what your bags will likely look like, but there's no reason they have to be a solid color. They can be striped. They can have some color blending. Use 2 colors. I like to sometimes just make the strap and the bottom of the bag a different color, or this part of the bag and this part of the bag a contrasting color. However you choose to do it. Remember, this is a beginning project. Don't let me get too far off track. And don't be disappointed if you've purchased yarn and you wish you had gotten something else. Be like me. Buy more yarn. You can never have enough yarn. You can never have enough bags. Or go ahead and start with what you have and keep looking for that perfect yarn. Make the bag. Learn what you need to know to make the first bag, and then the next one, and then the next one. Thank you for your questions about felting. Keep them coming. I'm not going in too far into depth about felting just yet because we don't have to felt just yet. We'll get to it. Let's make the bag. I'm making tutorials and writing patterns, which is converting notes that only I can understand into pattern form. I will provide all the information you need to gather materials and create a bag. I'll answer all your questions about making the bag and about felting. I will show you and tell you and provide by text in the description box what you need to do and what you need. You'll need yarn, of course. Any worsted weight wool yarn or other animal fiber yarn, or one of the alternatives I mentioned just a few minutes ago. Natural animal fibers will felt. Wool is available and affordable and felts well. And I'll talk more about the kind of yarn and the yarn you need here in just a minute. Today's tangent is brought to you by Superwash yarn. Superwash is wool that's been treated so it won't shrink. So of course it won't felt. Superwash will not felt. And I mention this because it's an easy mistake to make. Wool yarn may be labeled SW wool, and you have to be on the lookout for that SW that means superwash. It may even be very small on the label, or it may even say wool and somewhere else say sock yarn, or it has nylon in it. So I just wanted to take a minute to caution you about superwash wool and unfeltable fibers. That would probably be the only thing I wouldn't be able to help you with, is if your yarn was made of unfeltable fibers. So get wool and, of course, contact me about what you're thinking about getting and we can look at it together. If you have a fiber that you want to use and you're not sure if it's wool or not, there is a way to test it, but I've never felt that that's reliable. Apparently, if you light it on fire, acrylic will melt and wool will burn. Sometimes I can't tell what's happening when I look at that. It all looks like it's burning. It's all looks like it's melting. And anyway, what I do if I have a yarn that I'd really, really like to use and I'm not sure if it will felt, make a swatch. Make a 4" by 4" swatch and felt it. And to do that, for something that small, your tap water is hot enough. It's not going to let go of a lot of fibers. It would be okay to just do it right there in your kitchen sink, to agitate it very hard with some soap and felt that little swatch. And of course, contact me if you'd like more information about that, if you have a fiber and we need to figure out if it's wool. I'd be glad to help you try to figure that out. I was going to make an official announcement on July 1st, but I understand we may have entire colonies of fairies flitting about YouTube on that day, July 1st, and several days after for Christmas in July. Never let it be said that I ever interfered with any fairies in any way. So I'm going to go ahead with the official announcement today. My knit and crochet tutorials will be up starting July 16th, and written patterns will be available. That's when we will start the crochet along, knit along, make along, the cow, mow. Yarn quantities and supplies and other details are in the description box below. I will go over the yarn quantities and supplies with you right here. Let me look at my notes. Of course, I have lots of notes, and you can tell I've been looking at my notes. Thank you for your patience. To knit this small bag, you will need approximately 300 to 350 yards, or 145 to 147, or 145 to 170 grams of worsted wool yarn to knit about 300 to 350 yards. And I converted that to grams as 145 to 170 grams. That's worsted weight. If you choose to use fingering, as I mentioned before, and hold two strands together, you will need to double the yardage of that yarn. To crochet the bag, you will need about 400 to 450 yards of worsted weight wool yarn. And I converted that to about 190 to 215 grams. And that's to crochet about 400 to 450 yards, which by my calculations is 190 to 215 grams. Wool yarns such as Patton's Classic Wool, I love this wool, Ella Ray, Galway wool, come in 100 gram skeins. And you really can probably get by with less than 2 skeins of any of those yarns. If you get a bargain, get an extra skein and get any color or colors. Mix it up. As I mentioned, you can use one color, 2 colors, many colors. And I will show you how to join those wool yarns so you won't have any knots or any ends to weave in at the end. So don't worry if you can't find enough of one color. You'll find a great combination that you can use. Mine that I make in the tutorials, both of them, the knit one and the crochet one, are solid colors because they will be examples in my Arts Festival booth. As I mentioned before, I'm making these examples of the knitted and crocheted bags before and after felting. They will be part of a display in my Arts Festival booth in the fall so that people can see what the bags look like before and after felting. I get a lot of questions about this and I love answering them, and I think that these visual and tactile aids are going to add a lot to my explanations. To knit, size 13, that's 9mm circular knitting needles. My circular knitting needles are 24 inches long total, including the knitting needle tips. Again, for knitting, my knitting needles are size 13, 9mm, 24-inch circular knitting needles, and that's total 24-inch circular knitting needles. For crochet, I'm using a size 13, 9mm crochet hook. Get a couple of stitch markers, the wool yarn, the knitting needles or crochet hook, and that's what you need to get started. I will show you how to felt, and we'll talk more about that. I don't know about you, but I need a break. Let's take a break. I think I will make this a 2-part video. The exciting part is still to come. You'll want to see it. Bye for now.